Perfect. Yeah, you're good to go. Thank you.
We'll wait one more minute, Amy. Sounds good.
Excellent. Celeste, would you like to start now?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Like to thank everybody for joining us this morning. And on behalf of Matrix Design Group and obviously MAG, we thank you for taking the time to join us for this important opportunity that MAG has been able to provide all of their communities and members. I am Celeste Werner with Matrix Design Group. I have, you could read up on my bio, I have over 35 plus years of community planning and facilitation and community engagement experience. Love what I do and have a lot of passion. Joining me today from Matrix also for this session for the community engagement session is Laney Corey. And Laney is one of our key planners here at Matrix, has extensive experience, also not only in just community planning, but immense amount of expertise in community engagement as well. She's going to be assisting by monitoring the chat as well as any questions that you may have and calling on you if you do raise your hand. Um, a little bit about Matrix. Many of you may know who we are. We are full service. We have an office of almost 40 here in Phoenix, just down the street from MAG, actually. So we're centrally located, and I could see that we have a number of amazing clients on as well. But so in what we're going to be doing today, as far as the objective of the session, is to share with you all of the different types of technical services associated with community engagement and the different tools that we can provide that can assist on attainable housing and the TA program, the home TA program that MAG is providing. The Our presentation for today is very informal. And the format is we're going to highlight really what, not just, we're not going to do a deep dive, but we're kind of going to serve on those different services and tools that we can provide. And also identify some of those barriers that many communities and tribal communities are facing today with attainable and affordable housing. You know, understanding that attainable housing isn't it's a mix of different types of housing. It could be first-time homeowners, right? It could be the workforce that need to obtain attainable housing, and just making sure that you have attainable housing for that mix and diversity of incomes that you have within your community, and really understanding what your needs are as well. So I welcome you as we go through, or as I go through and present to you all the different services we can provide you on the community engagement side of the house, to think outside of the box, to think innovatively, and not just think, you know, identify maybe pieces of what we're presenting today that you could use. It doesn't need to be an entire program. It could be one component. It could be a mix of different components. It could be an entire campaign, community engagement campaign or educational campaign. So as we're going through this, think about what would be beneficial for your communities and be beneficial in assisting what the overall goal is. As we go forward, we're going to go through that presentation, and at the end, we're going to leave it. Hopefully, the goal is at least 20 minutes for questions and discussion. So also feel free if you have questions throughout the presentation. You don't need to wait till the end. Really it foster an informal interactive engagement during this session that we have for about an hour here. And in doing so, I just want to highlight, many of us have been on numerous virtual meetings, just reminding everyone, please, and it looks like everybody has muted unless you're going to be speaking or asking a question or providing additional input. You can unmute at that point in time. We do ask if your name needs to be spelled correctly or it needs to be revised. Just go to participants and you'll see some of the directions there. Click on participants, you hover over your name, and you could click more and then rename and type in your correct name. So we're able to be more personable and call out you individually with your correct name. And then, of course, the chat feature is you just hit the chat icon that you see there, which would assist in asking any questions. Also, feel free, as I stated, if you do have any questions throughout, you could raise your hand just using the icons that are part of the Zoom features. Okay, so let's start with the why. What are we trying to do here as far as overall community engagement? And the bottom line is we all know that in order to have any type of successful project, component, consensus, buy-in, community engagement assists in that, and it builds that community support, right? And ultimately, what we're trying to do is to assist all of the different communities in providing that attainable housing and making sure that they will be able to have construction and preservation of attainable housing within their community overall. And there's different ways that you could do that, as we all know. And we're going to be highlighting how we're going to be able to assist you in getting the word out. And it's a mix of different ways. And the key there is customization and tailoring it to your needs, to your community. And such. So we're going to be focusing in on that. And then the other two items that as we go through, education is critical, right? Education through a number of different methods and venues and media, from digital to traditional. So we're going to be going through and highlighting those as we go on. As we're presenting these different engagement tools and services that we can provide on behalf of MAG, the one area that I think is really important to highlight is really understanding what is our current existing environment today. And there are actually a number, as you all well know, and I've seen, many of you who have signed up, you're well versed in attainable housing, affordable housing, and the barriers to new housing, any type of new housing, actually. And one of the biggest ones is the NIMBY, not in my backyard. I don't want, what do we hear many times over and over is, we don't like multifamily. Why don't we like multifamily in our single family neighborhoods? They're concerned about, and they don't understand the value of maybe rent to own. And they're concerned about, additional cars being parked on their streets and potential for blight, the mentality and that's just the perception of that we could assist in educating the community on many of these items. Even Airbnbs, as you know, are also an issue, and just traffic and they're preserving their character of their community. That's true to each and every one of the residents and property owners as well. Other barriers that we have today as we're moving forward, everything is changing. If there's one thing that is constant, and that is change. And we have a lot of change that has just hit our state, as you all know, with many of the new regulations. And, we need to navigate through those new regulations. And that it's not those barriers that are new. It's just not the regulations that we have highlighted here from the State Bill 1162 for, requiring housing needs assessments for, populations of 30,000 or larger, as well as making sure you have annual reports. And these all have to be enforced by, January of 2025. What does that mean? What does that mean to the communities, to the residents, to the developers, and making sure that you're set up to be able to define that for your community, enforce it, educate your community on what that means and what the value is, to give them some comfort. And then the other two new ones that we're all aware of is House Bill 2720 and 2721 with the accessory dwelling units and the missing middle housing. Those focus on communities that are 75,000 population or more, not required for the tribal communities and not for communities that are identified within military areas. So that needs to be defined, of course. But there's a lot going on there. The ADUs, that focuses in on allowing, one attached and one detached and single family areas. The missing metal housing is, I should say, that was the missing metal housing component. So there's a lot of overlap and a lot of education that you have the opportunity to help your communities on with community engagement techniques and services that we can provide. Even zoning ordinances, each individual ordinances with each of your communities may be a barrier as well. The one thing we can't change is, unfortunately, is the interest rates. So we have no control over that. But what we do have control over, all of you and us to assist, is educating. In a number of the areas, it's really focused on there's a lack of information out there, and how can we assist in getting the right information, the information that's tailored to you and customized to your communities out to the right groups of people. Is it the residents? Is it the developers? Is it certain specific geographic areas within your community as well? So we talked a little bit about the barriers and how do we overcome those barriers are a number of different ways. And we're going to go into focusing in on those items. Obviously, you keep hearing me say educate, educate, educate. There's so many different resources out there. And sometimes it's too much. And we need to help direct that to the specific focus group areas, as well as what is pertinent to each of those different stakeholder groups, I should say, and developers as well. And how can you develop and identify different strategies that can incentivize, will still meet the law, but yet give some comfort to residents. For instance, you can't require that the design of ADUs, design guidelines of ADUs, but you can incentivize them. And so you're still meeting the law in that area. And so what are those different types of solutions, the innovative solutions that we could bring forward? And we look forward to sharing some of those with you as I move forward. So a key focus that as we put together and assist on community engagement, we have a three objective approach, always making sure we're helping you focus in on inclusivity and equitable engagement opportunities, making sure as many people as possible will have the opportunity to provide feedback, to input, and ask questions. So we have a number of different ways for the inclusivity component of it. And being informative and education is a key component of that. We provide bilingual services as well in-house. And a key part of a successful our team is that we are technical facilitators. We are trained in conflict resolution. We're trained in dealing with, active audiences, as well as we're shown as award-winning. We have over 48 different awards on community engagement that we're very proud of, and we bring a lot of those best practices to every single one of the projects that we're part of. But most importantly, as we assist on engagement, we make sure that the voices of everybody who is involved, that their voices are validated, that their voices are heard. And we provide those different mechanisms and avenues to do that. This is just a small component of the different tools that we provide, both traditional tools, in-person methods, as well as what we would call the digital virtual methods. You'll see here the traditional ones everywhere from pop-up meetings where we're going out and meeting at specific events that you currently are holding within your community. So instead of us asking for people to come to public meetings, we are well versed in going to community events, and we call those pop-up meetings. Of course, there's different types of programs. We call them ambassadors. In many cases, we found that community residents, developers, and others look to third parties, like consultants like ourselves, where they feel a little bit more comfortable than sharing with us some of their concerns, and trusting a little bit more. Not that communities can't do that. It's just in some instances they feel more comfortable sharing it than in a bigger, broader official meeting. We've heard that in many cases. I talked about our translation opportunities as well. Digital, we have all in-house graphic and digital designers that do everything from web programming and development to social media design. We do our virtual outreach as well as some of the virtual apps that we have, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So I talked about our engagement campaigns, and what we've done for a number of communities that we've been assisting with housing studies or housing needs assessments, is we put together engagement campaigns that are not just specific to just the project itself that we're working on, but a bigger and broader component where we work with them one-on-one. We're kind of an extension to your staff. We develop these campaign plans or educational campaign plans and engagement plans from the beginning to all the way to the end. How are you going to get the word out? What are the means that you currently have? The ease of utilizing the existing mechanisms. In a number of communities, elected and appointed officials already have their Facebook or LinkedIn and even blogs that they utilize. So we utilize as many champions and ambassadors as possible to tailor these different campaigns to your community. Presenting the information, that is a talent within itself as well. And I'll get into a little bit of the different ways to do that. And of course, gathering the feedback is as critical. Branding, we can do branding for specific projects or even just a specific campaign itself. These are just two examples of how we brand to provide a strong identity for the purpose of what you're trying to achieve. In this instance, it's attainable housing and possibly education on attainable housing, focused in on the TA program here. And you'll see it is a brand that is consistent across every piece of material, let it be traditional, hard copy, and or digital as well. We have websites we have put together. This is just an example of one we just pulled together in Buckeye. It's called The Landing. It's inclusive of the branding itself, but the website, what we do is we create websites that usually are linked to your community's website. And why? Because you have most of the followers. We're able to administer and update the websites 24/7. And or we could, in addition to just developing them, we could do one-offs. We could provide and develop articles that you could just hang on your websites as well, graphics and educational brochures that I'll talk about in a minute. Just me now. Those educational brochures, these are just two examples that we've done here in the state of Arizona. We've assisted both Tempe and Scottsdale and other communities as well on their housing needs and housing studies in the state of Arizona, and specifically within Maricopa County. But as we develop educational brochures or informational brochures, whichever you would like to call them, we use as much as possible what we call infographics. Infographics is the ease of, we know that people don't have a lot of time to read these days. It's a quick read. It delivers the message easily. It's what we call a USA Today version of educational brochures. These are two other types of infographics. Although we use them on our educational brochures and informational brochures, we also use infographics on other types of materials as well. We use them through different community and public meetings and workshops and summits, symposiums that we've done on housing. We've used them on other materials that are, visualization on boards, hard copy boards, as well as even PowerPoint presentations. So we can, as customized down to thinking about what your needs are, just provide infographic needs as well. And I know that MAG also has those services that they can provide. And so I think there's a mix and opportunity from both MAG as well as Matrix Design Group on that side. Dynamic visualization. So, online engagement is very critical. It gives our residents and the audience that we're trying to provide information to and the opportunity to get input, the opportunity for 24/7, where they could go to a site or digital online questionnaires and digital visualization anytime that they want, that's at their ease. So this is an example of a story map that we have completed in the past for MAG. So we could develop story maps for housing needs assessments and as well as housing studies, or just specific to even educational campaigns on housing and attainable housing, the different resources that are out there and available for the community residents, developers, and landowners as well. Our in-house GIS and CAD and 3D visualization team, we have a center of excellence that can develop decision-making tools as well. Sometimes we've created for housing studies massing, 3D massing visualization aids to help not just the community, but also the elected and appointed officials to understand what is that impact going to be for the type of maybe multifamily housing that would be specific and adjacent to single family. What is that transition? How does that transition look? And also the dashboarding for housing studies and housing needs assessments we've completed. Another example of online engagement that we specifically have, we utilize what we call our ID places. It's an interactive dynamic mapping tool that provides your community and the participants to literally go in, and these, you see some examples of icons here. They have the opportunity to select one of those icons, and those can be customized for your community. It could be different types of housing. It could be concerns about types of housing within their community. That could be traffic, could be making sure that housing is close to education. Education is such an important component of housing, and let it be any type of housing, attainable housing, as well as, and also the commute distance for housing to shopping, to education, to their employment centers. So they'll be able to pick one of these icons, literally pin it to a geographic area, and provide their specific comment to that specific icon and that specific geographic area. So it's geospatial in nature, and it provides an immense amount of input. We've utilized this on other housing studies, and we've received anywhere up to 1,000 comments that have been very, very productive. We categorize them and we provide a summary of what that input is, and it helps in providing the community as well as the residents in identifying amazing strategies that address some of their concerns, as well as educational campaigns that address their concerns also. Another engagement tool that's in our toolbox is virtual workshops. These are just two examples you'll see here of virtual workshops. So what we can do besides our traditional in-person is if we hold an in-person meeting, we could actually make that real live virtual as well. But what we also do is we develop these online virtual workshops that are literally identical to what that in-person workshop is, down to any presentations that are being held, to all the different types of exercises from passive to active exercises that are at the in-person workshop also. The great thing about virtual workshops is that you could keep them up for, 1 week, 2 weeks, even longer. So that it really supports that opportunity to provide your residents and landowners and developers the opportunity at when it's good for them within that 24-hour period, within 2 to 3 weeks, to provide the input at the ease of their comfort and their schedules. In addition to the other items that I just talked about or tools that are in our toolbox, we've done a numerous amount of visual preference surveys specific to different housing studies and components of projects that have housing elements that are part of the overall plans themselves. So we've done, and you'll see two examples here. The one on the left is an example of an in-person board. It's on a board and it's interactive. They could go up and put dots up on which of the different housing types that they would like within their community. And then the other type of visual preference services that we have developed are online, as well as in a PowerPoint presentation where you can present it with remote polling as well, real-time polling that gives them an opportunity to select the different types of housing types and focused in on what the needs of your community are as well. So you heard me talk about polling. So we have used probably 4 or 5 different type of what we call dynamic real-time polling options, anywhere from Mentimeter to Slido to just what we have. We have our own remotes that are able to be used in an in-person setting as well. And they are utilizing QR codes. It's been very, very successful. The majority of the participants, are able to utilize their phones, and it's very easy. And I'm sure many of you have had the opportunity to be part or used either one of these here and some of the other ones that are available. But we develop the surveys, the questionnaires that are tailored as well and customized to your community, as well as we're able to set them up within the different types of mechanisms available for that dynamic time, real-time polling opportunity. And of course, let's not forget our traditional in-person meetings. And those meetings could be anything from the community meetings to strategic focus group meetings. Focus group meetings that could be, for key geographic areas where there is a concern for attainable housing, areas that you would like to educate that community on some of the resources that are available, even to renters or new home buyers. You could focus in on developers, and we've held numerous focus group meetings with different developers across the state of Arizona with some of the housing studies that we've worked on. And we've been very, very successful. And you'll be surprised they too want to be a partner and help in assisting and making sure that they're providing those different types of housing types that are really the right market and customized for each of the different communities. It's in their benefit as well as all of your benefits and the community benefits as well. When we're creating the different exercises, and we have the opportunity to either put on an entire community public meeting, charrette, or symposium or summit to a focus group or a stakeholder meeting, to just providing you the tools that you need that you may want to conduct that type of meeting yourselves. And in regards to working with you to develop active and passive type of exercises. Not everybody likes to have, speak out in front of everybody. So we always try to develop customized exercises to make sure that we're obtaining the right information for the specific housing topics that we're talking about, but also giving the participants the comfort that they have an option to provide it in different means, just a more of a one-on-one where they could just write or passively provide their input. The app is one example as well. And we have that app at the traditional meetings with QR codes that they could do real time at the public meetings also. The other exercises that we develop, you'll see there are hands-on. It helps them visualize and really understand that, like, for instance, there's just so much money that the community has to assist in working towards attainable housing. What is the key focus? If you had this much money, where would you put the pots of dollars in which areas? What are the most important to you? And that helps the community then rack and stack and prioritize. And for all of you, for the staff to provide direction to your elected and appointed officials, as well as information for them as well. I like to just highlight some of the different studies that we have done here, or examples of best practices that we've completed in the state of Arizona. We completed up in Flagstaff, which is called the Southside 2017 approach. It was really focused in on redeveloping a community, and it was specific to housing, making sure there was attainable housing within their downtown area, that focused on preserving the historic nature of their culture, as well as historical landmarks and structures within their community, but at the same time, providing the opportunity incentives for developing new housing that matches the type of attainable housing that they needed for the incomes within that community. Of course, it is also a college town, so they had a different mix also of areas. We did everything from meetings or on-street meetings to field trips, to bus tours, to the different charrettes, and the focus groups meetings were so beneficial. They all included educational brochures and informational brochures, and of course, website and digital opportunities for engagement as well. In Denton, Texas, although not in Arizona, we thought we highlight this one. They had a very, very robust housing element. We had over 200 online comments that were submitted through ID Places, very strong in-person engagement because we assisted in getting the word out, identifying all the different mechanisms you could use that is low cost that you already have at your fingertips, to others that really are low cost as far as getting the word out and developing that messaging, knowing how to tailor and customize that that message that really attracts the participants and the right audiences to these events. We had over 300 people at each one of the engagements, in traditional in-person engagements that we had, as well as I believe it was over 800 for the virtual, which are the virtual workshops that we talked about. In Buckeye, we did the Buckeye, we're doing the Buckeye Landing 2024 right now, and that's a great opportunity. And a big focus there is it's what we would call, I guess, open land. It's a former ox field, and a lot of it is state land. So we know how we've worked with many of the developers within the valley. We've worked with state lands. We're working closely with them right now in regards to making sure that as we're designing and putting together a specific area plan for this core, this hub, that housing is really a major component. And we're working with the neighborhoods around this large vacant area that they have a great opportunity for developing a new mixed use core. But, we are working with the residents on their concerns of transition. It's right in my backyard. Single family housing is adjacent. How do we transition it to make sure that there is that multifamily mixed use component and still achieving affordable, attainable housing at all levels for all different incomes? And a number of different, we've used visual preference, we've used online questionnaires, very, very productive, or effective for online questionnaires. We've done online questionnaires for a number of the projects for housing studies throughout Arizona here. In Texas, we used ID Places again, hundreds of comments, but another component that we used, and in this instance, it was in a community meeting. We put together what we call informational booth tolling boxes, or visual imaging or visual preference boxes for polling. And it helped identify what type of housing was the needs or the wants of that community. And then there's other exercises there. And this was one of their community events that we went to. It's called Socorro Sundays. And so they had hundreds of people there. And so that was something where, they captured an opportunity where people were already gathering. Peoria and Surprise, housing studies, amazing results on the online questionnaires, which we developed and customized for each of these different communities. I know that there's a number of representatives here from both Peoria and Surprise. Welcome. But the information, the tailoring is really knowing how to ask the questions to the specific objectives of your community, and then being able to put those online questionnaires out there. We use different types from SurveyMonkey to the Esri 123, which helps the geospatial component of where those answers to the questionnaires are coming in from. So geographically locating where the input is coming from. Very, very helpful. So to close, before we open it up for questions, just wanted to highlight all the different benefits that I talked about a little earlier. And the key there is customization and tailoring, and looking at, not looking at specifically the big picture of what we can do from A to Z, but also customizing pieces to be specific to, maybe you just want to focus in on educating your community on some of the new regulations and how it's going to be beneficial. And we've dealt with the rent to own. With working with a number of developers, we've presented in front of boards and councils and tribal communities in regards to, what are those benefits to the community, and to give them some statistics on the traffic, that there's actually more traffic with single family in some areas due to a lot of the traffic being during peak hours and the AM time and the PM time versus if it's usually multifamily. They have a mix of employment times. So they're coming and going throughout the day. They are a lot of workforce housing from, nurses to firemen to teachers and such. So they have a mix of the needs. So understanding that traffic impact, understanding the parking needs, and understanding the needs of the community. And we're excited to have the opportunity to be part of helping all of you. Tailor and customize what you need, and obviously being part of this great TA program that MAG has associated with attainable housing. What I'd like to do now is open it up for questions and discussions. While we're doing that, please note that on the screen here, you'll see two QR codes. One QR code is that we is a survey about the presentations today. I know MAG and as well as Matrix, we welcome your feedback always. So please, if you have a moment, go to that QR code and take that survey. It's short. And then the other QR code, and you heard Peter talk about it earlier, and Sapna and others, that MAG has this QR code will take you to the MAG website that specifically talks about their overall home TA program that they have, providing all of you that technical assistant opportunities to apply for as well. So with that, I think I've held to 20 minutes for question and answers, and I look forward to answering any questions that you may have. And if I can't answer them today, right now, we'll be happy to get back with you also. So at this time, I'd like to open it up to all of you for any input that you may have or questions. Anybody out there? And I could go into a lot more detail on any one of those. So, another item would be if I could ask questions also, but I would rather hear the questions from all of you. And if there's something we may not have identified because it was a very short period to present to you, you are wondering if we provide that type of service, please ask. I will be happy to provide guidance on that as well. Okay. I don't know, Laney, would you like to, or Amy, would you like to add anything at this point in time?
Laney, do you want to add anything?
Celeste, I think you did a really great job covering a lot of those community engagement efforts. One more thing that I just want to add on quickly about the Socorro Sunday specifically. So you mentioned briefly that we participated in an existing community event that was already well attended, and we were really able to tailor our engagement tools to that specific audience. And so one unique feature of Socorro Sunday was a youth engagement component that was really critical and was really well received by the community. And so although kids may not necessarily speak land use language, we were able to have really great conversations about, where's your house and where's your school? What does that walk to school look like? Is that a comfortable walk for you? Situating, housing to be near parks and schools and things like that. And so that was another really great part of that activity. It was a wonderful event. So I think we had over 700 actually responses to our voting boxes, which was just incredible turnout. So
thank you for that, Laney. That was great. Great ad. I could talk about engagement forever, so very passionate. I think the one key item is, our team, we are very skilled at facilitation and understanding facilitation and how to develop the different tools to obtain the specific objective that you're trying to achieve is a talent. And in conflict resolution, how to really facilitation on conflict resolution, and the key is to really do your due diligence and understanding of what your audience before you get there. And in so many cases, we bring a number of people so we can have one-on-one discussions and finding those champions or ambassadors to be there with us that they already trust. So, and working with all of you to identify who those may be. So that's another component as well. Okay.
Yeah. Participants should be able to unmute if you'd like to offer anything verbally, or you're more than welcome to add anything to the chat as well. Any input from the attendees?
Hi, I actually have a question.
Yes, Nicole.
Hi, I'm with the housing department at the city of Phoenix, and our affordable housing division. We're actually looking to start an education campaign, and I don't know if there's any input. What's a good first step, or maybe a good timeline?
I'd be happy to provide at least some guidance on that. So I think so. The first step is to develop a framework of what your objective is and what are the key areas that you want to achieve, or if there's areas, what are you trying to achieve in regards to education? Is it a focus on what are the different resources out there and what are the different, there's so many resources for affordable and attainable housing, right? So we identifying what specific audience that you're trying to educate, I should say, in regards to, is it landlords, right? Are they renters who want to become first home buyers? Is it focused on financing and funding? So, identifying the framework of what you want to achieve first. The timeline for putting let me finish off on putting together the overall educational campaign. So, with the educational campaign, an educational campaign could be very robust, and it doesn't have to be very robust. You can tailor it to two things: how much money you have, the resources that you have, meaning the people, right? Trying to utilize as much technology as possible to for that educational piece. And the last one is is your time frame. If you're trying to educate, for instance, I'll take some of these new House bills, right? The House bills or Senate bills. You there's the talk that the clock is ticking. So we definitely have a limited time to educate the community to make sure they have comfort to understand what this means to them, and that what their opportunities are to take advantage of it. So you developing that time frame will be focused on what you're also, if there's something that's triggering a deadline. What we can do for you is a number of things, like I said, A to Z, but we could sit down and brainstorm with you on some of the campaigns, educational campaigns we've done for housing in the past. And you may be able to have the resources within your community to implement those. You may, we could possibly put together, we could provide examples as well, right? So I know that Mag talked about possibly putting together, zoning ordinance templates that could be utilized in different communities, but then tailored. There's that opportunity for educational campaigns. Some of the campaigns that we have focused in on, besides identifying as educating it on resources, we've done educational campaigns on implementation. The implementation strategies or draft strategies that are being proposed by a community, and to obtain their buy-in and input. We put educational campaigns together on the different funding opportunities that are out there. It's kind of a break off on resources. Um, uh, we are now starting to look at putting an educational campaign together on some of the new regulations. So that is another component. And the other item that I'm trying to think of, we've done housing studies, not just in Arizona. We've done them recently because it's obviously the topic nationwide, in California, in Oregon, Washington, in Colorado, in Texas, and some other community or states as well, excuse me. Some of the education on um, educating them on the value of affordable housing in regards to transitional compatible uses in single family areas, and the education on statistics like traffic and such. Those they're more key focused on what it is. That we are also putting together in one community what we would call an educational campaign on what the plan is. Now they have their plan, right? And what is their timeline and the actions and who is going to be involved and how are some of the specific partners as well as the public are going to be part of those implementation strategies and actions. Hopefully, I answered some of what you were asking, but I could also go into some of the items that we have in the educational component. We always do both the digital education campaign is one of the most successful, utilizing social media, utilizing the different digital websites that are currently out there, not just city, but other partners within the tribal communities and whatever community towns that you may be. We've utilized, in addition to the educational information brochures and the social media, we've put together, you could call them TED Talks, and it's some training videos that different communities have put up on their own websites and have pushed them out to different organizations, homeowners associations, and the community at their different means of getting the word out. We put together for education, let's see, trying to think off the top of my head, besides the social media, the TED Talks, training videos, the flyers and brochures. We put together, oh, you know what we've done? We've put together an interactive mapping tool that you could click on the different geographic areas, and it would tell you if you're in a specific area of a new strategy or possibly a new state bill. For instance, if you're in the CBD district or, um, uh, you know, ADUs, how does it affect your home? And so they could just pick their property. And we're doing that because in so many cases, as you know, uh, it really comes down to their own personal piece of property. Let it be a developer's piece of property, let it be state land, let it be a resident, it really is, how does it affect me? So we really are trying to develop these different educational tools that help them understand down to just that their specific needs or their concerns and give them that comfort. We've also have put together literally PowerPoint presentations. We've done this in Texas. We put together PowerPoint presentations and tools for ambassadors to go out to their community organizations, and they're the champions and they're doing the education. So you're not always constrained to, whatever resources you have within your communities and or whatever resources you have that that's available through MAG, utilizing Matrix and or through your general fund, whatever general fund dollars you have as well. So utilizing as much as possible, leveraging other people, other resources, and other grants. So that was a great question. Nicole, did you have any other questions, or did I answer the question to your
Yeah,
specific question?
yeah, you did answer. Thank you. That was helpful. I'm just taking in all the information.
Okay, great. That's great. And I believe Amy may have said this or something that earlier, they're available after these sessions. We're available as well. And you could reach out to Amy for direction on that. And um, they're amazing. So
Thank you, Celeste. Great presentation. Thank you very much. And thank you, Laney, for your comments as well. Does anyone else have any questions, any input, anything to share? Okay, well, again, thank you, Celeste and Laney, for a fantastic presentation. This will be posted on the MAG website in terms of the recording. So please do visit the first QR code for additional materials after the event today. I would encourage all of you to please take the post-event survey at the end of your participation in today's event. That QR code is available both on the MAG website as well as on the screen in front of you. We will be taking a brief break until 12:30. Please do come back at 12:30. We have a phenomenal panel that really highlights the great work that's underway through our community partners. So please do return by 12:30 and we will go through that plenary presentation followed by workshops in the afternoon as well. With that, this will conclude our workshop for this morning. We will see you all at 12:30. Thank you very much, everyone. Great to see you.
thank you.